Welcome to the Fully Charged Show podcast. Now, in this live talk recorded at Fully Charged Live on the 8th of June, Helen Czerski does a wonderful job talking to an expert panel about future disruptors to energy and transport. Alongside her, in the very full mega theatre, is Artur Sychov from Somnium Space, Patrick Bion from Arrival, and Clare Jones from What 3 Words. This week's podcast is supported by Oscar and Hamish, makers of premium tailored frunk, froot and trunk luggage for your Tesla Model S, X and, of course, the lovely little Model 3. Now, to celebrate the reveal of the Tesla Cybertruck, I love this. I really do love this. I'm going to get one. You can now build your own card Cybertruck with a free downloadable file from oscarandhamish.com. That's Oscar and Hamish, all one word.com. Simply download the file and print it onto thick card or paper. Then you snip it out, and it's available as a line drawing so you can add your own decals or as a high definition colour rendered file. I love this. The file is a volumetrically accurate paper art file, a bit like the things we used to get on the back of breakfast cereal packets. Young people don't know about this. You'd get a box of breakfast cereals, and on the back would be this amazing cut out and keep animal head that you had to snip round all the little tabs, fold it together, and it turned into an elephant or a lion or a giraffe. It was amazing. I love that. Wish they'd do that now. Anyway, Oscar and Hamish have also recently launched a limited battery cell shaped bag design which fits in most of today's EVs. So now you can always be fully charged with a set of battery bags. I just want to say that I didn't write that, but I willingly read it out. I'm going to say it again now. So now you can always be fully charged with a set of battery bags. There we go. Fully Charged podcast listeners and regeners can get a 10% discount and free shipping by entering Fully Charged, all in one word, all in block caps, at checkout, uppercase, block caps. That's when you write it. Uppercase, sorry. Fully Charged, all in uppercase at checkout. Oscar and Hamish, inspired by heroes, built by legends, and born to be driven.
Disruptive things, but you're all being very well behaved in the audience here. So we've got a lot to discuss. Future disruptors is what we're all about in this session. So please welcome to the stage my 3 panelists, Vitor Poor, Patrick Bion and Clare Jones. Take a seat. Now this is going to be one of those sessions where we jump about a lot in visions of the future, because many of the amazing technologies that we've seen here at Fully Charged Live, they are improvements on the sort of thing we've got already. And what these 3 are about is just ignoring all of that and almost starting again in some cases. And so we're getting at the bits that, you maybe don't really hear about. They're not going to be the things that happen next year, but they might change what life is like in 20 or 30 years' time. Because if you're going to bother changing the system, why not knock the house down and start again? That might have disadvantages, but that's the principle here. So to start with, I'd like to ask each of you just to say a little bit about the company you're representing and what your technology is all about. Let's start with Vita.
Okay, hi, I'm Vita. We're building a virtual world. It's called Somnium Space. It's basically a parallel world to ours where you can work, educate yourself, and have fun. And it's all in VR, because you need a headset, you put it on, you have the trackers, and then you just go on.
So virtual reality, Claire?
So we basically decided it was time for a new addressing system. So say we were meeting somewhere on the racetrack at Silverstone, it would actually be very hard to explain where we were going to meet. So what we did is we divided the entire globe into a grid of 57 trillion squares. Each square is 3 meters by 3 meters, so probably from me just to the edge of the stage. And we labeled every square with 3 words from the dictionary. So I can say, meet me at apple, banana, spoon, and that refers to a 3 meter by 3 meter square. Actually, one of the squares just at the entrance here today is corkscrew, wriggle, twigs. So everywhere in the whole world has an address, and we have an app, and you can download it and play with it.
Patrick.
So I work for a company called Arrival. We're a technology team, and we are effectively trying to make electric vehicles mainstream. For us, the biggest barrier to that is price. So our vehicles will be electric vehicles offered at the exact same price as comparable internal combustion vehicles. We focus on the 4 areas of disruption that the industry is moving towards: connectivity, autonomy, sharing, and electrification.
So let's just start with digging down into these things a little bit more and just exploring how they might fit into everyday life. So, Vita, we've had things like Second Life in the past, which were sort of, you could enter a virtual world, not with VR. But do people want to do that? Why would you want to do that? Why would I want to live in a virtual world and never see a real human ever again?
Right, it's a good question, because technology is kind of helping us to do stuff better, do it more efficient. And the first time in our lifetime, basically virtual reality can mimic everything we're doing in real life into the technology. So you get the emotions, which you don't get with a smartphone or with a regular phone. Graphic designers can do work better, faster, because they see everything in 3D. You can have like 20 monitors in front of you in your glasses. So it's more efficient. And if you want to meet your family you can have a FaceTime call, which is fine. But once you have a headset, your father at the other end of the world has a headset too. He puts it on, you can feel the closeness, and basically it mimics the virtual world.
And what sort of benefits has that got for a sustainable future, for example? What are the benefits for the rest of the world, or is it all about personal benefits?
So the personal benefits, it's keeping the families closer, for example. But for the rest of the world, especially work-wise, it's basically mechanics can do one operation in virtual world every time better and better and better. You don't have to, let's say you have an airplane, you have to disassemble it to train on one part. In virtual reality, you just make the app, and it's for minimum of costs. Then you can upload it to your whole network of engineers, and they can train on it so many times they want. And it's decentralized. You don't have to go to a one stop, and just can train. You be more efficient, faster, and it's cheaper.
So benefits for not needing as much expertise, perhaps, or specific training. Claire, so your address system. Now, I remember was it Adrian Mole, where there was a book and he wrote his address as 23, whatever road it was, the town, the county, the UK, the world, the universe. Why would we need to replace that?
I think one thing is we're not trying to replace it. We're trying to give it an extra layer of accuracy. So an address system like that is great if you're sending a piece of mail, because you want to get it to the right country, and then the right city, and then the right sorting center, and then the right postperson's bag. Great. It does a pretty good job for that. But more and more what we use addresses for is moving us and moving things. And this is particularly true now when the scale at which things move around cities and around countries is growing all the time. Think about Amazon Prime. How many times we're now expecting people to make deliveries within 24 hours. And in all these cases, often what you'll find is knowing where the door is, not just where the building is, or not just halfway up the street, knowing exactly where something is, that's really helpful. And an example of this, you sort of talked about the future. Right now, I use Uber a lot. I don't drive, so I use ride-hailing apps like My Taxi or Lyft or Uber. I probably will never own a car. Honestly, probably won't own a car. Now, at the moment, I still have issues when we're getting picked up or dropped off. And I have a human driver. And I say, yeah, sorry, I live near the pub. Can you just keep driving? The postcode always goes to the wrong place. Can you just drop me at the pub and I'll walk, my flat is there. When I'm saying that to a robot that's driving me, so if I've got an autonomous vehicle, suddenly I can't say on the phone, hey, I'm wearing a red dress, I'm standing outside Starbucks, you can see me. So basically we figured, right now, addresses are okay, but you know what, we get lost sometimes. We can't find everything, we don't know exactly where the door is, and that's a big problem today, and it's a much bigger problem tomorrow with autonomous delivery robots and autonomous taxis.
So I, like many people, I'm sure, have a lot of fun in inverted commas that I don't want with predictive text, right? Spelling mistakes. Yes. What if someone makes a spelling mistake in your system?
I love that question. So when we design the system, so bear in mind there are 57 trillion combinations. So you've got like apple, banana, spoon, banana, 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 spoon, spoon, apple. So in order to, when we designed the system, we said exactly what you said. We're human beings. We make mistakes sometimes. Now, right now, if I make a mistake with an address, and I'm looking for SE16 4QS, and I type in or say SE15 6QF, they're similar, and they're in the same area. So I might go to the wrong one, realize I'm wrong when I get there. We basically said, let's do the opposite of that. Because we were like, look, it matters so much you go to the right place. Let's make it so you're either 3 meters by 3 meters, you're in the right place, or you're in totally the wrong country. So for example, Toffee Branched Pyramid is in Hertfordshire in the UK. Coffee Branched Pyramid is in India. So if I make a mistake, the machine I'm talking to, whether that's my car, my Alexa, my phone app, it goes, Claire, you are not trying to drive to India from London. You're probably trying to go to Toffee Branched Pyramid, not Coffee Branched Pyramid.
Okay, so we'll get into more of that later, I'm sure. Okay, so Patrick, what's the reason? Why do you need the thing? Why do you need these vans? Why do you need this new system? What's the benefit in the long term?
Where to start? We have good, close relationships with hundreds of companies here in the UK, the EU, worldwide, who are basically in a position where they need electric commercial vehicles. And they're saying to us, we don't know where they're coming from. They don't know where they're coming from the large manufacturers. If they are available, they can't afford them. It doesn't make sense for their business. That's the reason number one.
And how's uptake going with these things? Perhaps you first. It's great to have ideas, but is this practical in 2 years' time, in 10 years' time? Are you laying a foundation where someone else will effectively do it? How close are you to making this a reality?
So our vehicles, our first lightweight commercial vehicle will be in mass production 2021. That's here in the UK to begin with, and then Germany second. So that's coming very soon, but between now and then we have lots of trials with big customers around the world already.
And Claire, is it in use now?
Yeah, so the app's been around for a while. It's free. You can download it and use it offline.
And we said we should be clear because I wasn't here. It says what 3 words?
It's called what 3 words like this. Yeah. So that is used all over the world in all kinds of weird and wonderful ways. But the interesting thing has been recently seeing a lot of adoption across verticals. So for example, thinking about this world of mobility, Mercedes, others have followed, but Mercedes was first to put it in their new cars for voice. So I can get in my Mercedes, I say, hey Mercedes, take me to what 3 words, apple, banana, spoon, and it routes me there. So that's one. But recently, in the last few months, one of my favorite things is the UK emergency services have started using it. So various emergency services in the UK, if you phone them and you say, I've broken my leg halfway up the Yorkshire Downs, the Yorkshire police will say to you, okay, don't worry, we can find out where you are very easily. Do you have what 3 words? And if you do, they say, great, just tell us the 3 words of where you are. And if you don't, they'll send you a little link, which you stay on the phone, they send you a link, you click it, and they say, just read the 3 words back to us, and then they can send it to their paramedics and they'll find you. So that's one of the really interesting things, is seeing 1 minute it's being used by someone in a car with their voice, or to order an Uber with Alexa, and then the next minute it's being used by the emergency services.
And Vita, how about your technology? Is it being used now? How far off in the future is this idea?
Okay, as for us, as for Somnium Space, you can already download it. You can go in and buy a Model S in 3D, so you can basically look at it, change the color, go around it and buy it. But this is us. What I think about virtual reality, it needs also mass adoption like electric vehicles. And I think this is the year when it's starting, because it's the first time that a wireless headset has come out from Oculus. So you don't need wires to be connected to the computer. You just put it on. It's a fair price point between around 300 pounds. So I think this is the year where virtual reality will pick up and start and be mass adopted.
And just to all 3 of it as disruptors, like what are the things that are holding these things back? I mean, some of these things might require other parts of infrastructure to change, right? Some of them might just require people to change their minds. What are the obstacles to making all of these happen? Are they compatible? Can you have a world with all of these 3 things in it? What's the future? Like, what's limiting the growth of your companies? Is anything limiting the growth?
I mean, for us, one of the things we see is it's exactly what you said, it's about people. So in order for our example, we're trying to build a global standard for addresses, which has never been done before. And we need businesses to come along. And I don't mean small businesses. Yes, it's great when we have a small pizza delivery company, but I mean the Mercedes and the car brands and the logistics companies. And one of the things that's interesting is the difference in people. So I always say this, with our team, it's the people. It doesn't really matter what the company is, it's the person. And in the case of Mercedes, we met, an incredible R&D engineer who got it like this and was like, this makes sense, I'm putting it in the car. Other car companies, I remember one of my first ever car phone calls. Now, we're tech startup types. We like to do things quickly. And I remember in about 2015 having a phone call and a car company was like, Claire, we love it. Like, of course, we're going to put this in the car really quickly. And I heard quickly, and I was like, great, are we talking like weeks? You know, when's your next software update? And they said, we think by 2020. And like, for me, like, I genuinely am like, do you mean 2020 the year? Because this doesn't make sense to me. And so for us, I think it's been a real learning about basically finding the people in the organizations who are like, I'm going to take this leap with you. I'm not going to sit here and say, things are the way they are, they should stay the way they are. I'm going to say, yes, it involves change. In our case, it involves a psychological leap to a future where you say to me, hey, I'm having a dinner party and it's at Puff Parade Clowns, and that's normal. But it takes that leap, and it's finding the people within those big organizations who are willing to come with you.
Just out of curiosity, what do you do in apartment blocks?
So in apartment blocks, just like a normal address, you'd use what three words to get to the entrance, and then you'd say, go up. So my old flat in London, I'd have said, flat 54, Slugvines Bucket. Slugvines Bucket gets you to my door, and then you probably ring for flat 54 and go up to level 5.
You know, sometimes people now buy houses based on their address, right? Are you setting up a whole new competitive market in not living at the slug address?
Maybe. I mean, the good thing is, unless you live in a 3 metre by 3 metre house, you've probably got a few to choose from. But it's true. I mean, look, there's somebody very lucky in the US lives at party.
Okay, so here's something else, right? So we talk about these new technologies as though it's automatic, they're going to happen to everybody. Is everybody going to get these equally? Like, if you have to buy VR goggles, that's expensive, right? If you're going to use an app, you need a smartphone. Are these technologies, these disruptive things, are they fair, or are they just going to make the rich richer and the poor poorer? How does that work in your different systems?
I think for us, I don't see it being a problem. Parity on the purchase of a vehicle, regardless of how it drives, is critical for us. So we have customers of all sizes chasing us for this product. Demand is not a problem. From big companies to small companies, the debate about electric vehicles is gone. It's done, and companies are now saying, "Okay, where is it?" So
your market is ready and waiting for you, and it's just making the system better. Get on with it.
Yep.
Yeah. Vita, how about you with this? You know, the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, we need good content for VR because developers, they have great ideas, so the content is coming, but the hardware, again, as I said, needs to catch up. It needs to be comfortable. You cannot sweat in it. It has to be light, and the price point needs to be definitely below a smartphone. Then it gets mass adopted, and more developers come and will just experience those amazing VR experiences.
I think it's a really good question, and particularly around smartphone technology. So one of the things that was really important to us was we were trying to design it, you know, when we designed it, so that even if you didn't have a smartphone, you might be able to use the address to help. So for example, there's a project right now, it's one of my favorites we're doing in Uganda. I say we're really not doing it, it's an NGO. And they, what they're doing is they have certain people who have smartphones, and they're able to visit each home and say, hey, here's the 3-word address of your home, write it on a piece of paper, put it on a sticker, and then if you need to talk to the doctor about where you are, or the paramedics, you can say that on the phone, you can text it on a feature phone. But the important thing was when we designed it, we had to think about that, so the addresses don't change. That's a really important thing, is that once we went, you know, you need to be able to use this in a slum or a refugee camp. You need to make sure that those addresses don't change, so that if somebody doesn't have a smartphone, but they've been given that address, they can keep using it until they move house.
And so let's just take a step even further back. And actually, just before I get to that, so being a disruptor, do you feel disruptive? Do you walk into rooms and people go, oh, there's that weird person over there, got some bonkers idea? How do you feel disruptive? Like, how much of a thorn in the side of the system are you? Go on.
Definitely, every day. And it's wonderful. It's what keeps us going throughout the hard days.
You're an awkward sod by design.
Yeah, absolutely. People often ask us, well, why hasn't this happened before? Why can't I go and buy a £35,000 electric 3.5-ton vehicle? And when you get into the details of why it hasn't happened and the amount of honestly refusal to adopt new things, it motivates us even more and more, honestly.
Not being beaten. Vita, how about you? What's it like to be the awkward one who's always just got a different view of the world?
Yeah, for us it's people ask, why are you building a parallel world? Why are you doing this? Isn't this one good enough? And We basically say we don't want to copy it. We don't want people to spend 8 hours, 12 hours in VR, but instead of staring at the smartphone, just like put on your glasses, do something fun. You get the emotion, so you can be more productive instead of just like swiping the smartphone screen. And you can experience so much in virtual reality that it's once you try it out, it's a keeper.
And Claire, it sounds like you're very used to feeling disruptive.
Yeah, I think I think wonderful is a good word, but also sometimes terrible. Partly just because it's actually sometimes pretty tiring. Like you're kind of running around, and for us, the world. Like we're not trying to make a UK addressing system. We decided to do the world. And so that can be exhausting. And sometimes you can feel, you're like, wow, we're trying to change something which has been ingrained for hundreds of years. But the total joy of it, of seeing it, hearing when a fire service tweets and says, we just used 3 words yesterday to reach a fire in time and put it out. Or actually, one of my favorite things is meeting people who we've never met before who use the app and say to me, oh my God, yeah, I used it. And like one of my kids is traveling and he sends me the 3-word address and I know where he is and I love it. Like there is total joy. Like it's hard and it's sometimes exhausting, but there's also total joy.
Okay, so let's oh no, go on, you got another book?
I think for us, it's really important to meet people to come in external to our company, because we're head in what we're trying to do. And in an engineering environment, it's easy to know you're disrupting. You can look at the cost of a system, the function, the attributes, and say, ours is better, good. But there are weeks where you're trying to solve a problem, and you can try 1,000 different ways to get there, and all the while you don't know if it's going to work. And all the while in a startup, you're costing time and money. And I think when other people come into the team, they're like, oh my word, that is amazing. That kind of reiterates what we're trying to do. Yeah.
And then just stepping back from your individual technologies, what's your view of the world in 10 years and 20 years? Integrating your technology, how, just on the bigger picture, the whole thing, how do you think we're going to be living if we take this step and just reinvent systems as they could be instead of as they always have been? What's the world going to look like? Who's going to go first?
For me, I think our world, our society is built around vehicles. There's a separation between pedestrians and vehicles. Our countryside roads are cluttered with traffic signs. Everything we know is shaped around automotive technology. And I think for me, to completely remove all of that and have quite a seamless integration between autonomous vehicles, pedestrians that have no diesel fumes, that have no areas where you can't go and you can go, I think that would be the dream for me.
So big view of the world. Claire?
I think for me, one of the most interesting things, which I do think is going to continue, is around the sharing. And that's we're doing this more in all bits of life, whether you're talking about Airbnb and Uber and things like that, but also around cars and what that looks like for subscription. So, for example, Lynk & Co. in Sweden, they're designing cars not to be bought. So they're a car manufacturer designing cars that no one person will own. You will get a subscription and you will be communicating with other people in this community of electric car drivers who care about their environment, who care about the place they're in, and you're sharing something with strangers in the way that we do a lot more these days. And I do think that will continue. And I think the passion that you see in the younger generations of wanting to drive responsibly, wanting to move responsibly, wanting to order online responsibly, I think that will continue.
Vito, what's your view of the whole world in 30 years?
We just did a trip in a Model S for 15 hours 2 weeks ago on our autopilot, listening to an audiobook. If I look 10 years out, I can see us going full autonomous with virtual glasses on and just like be attending a concert somewhere in America and enjoying basically the free time we have while the technology is doing the work.
Very different. Okay, let's have some questions from the audience. Now we've got a microphone coming around. It would be great if you could ask questions, short questions, rather than comments. And if you wait for the microphone to get to you, that would be great. So has anyone got a question?
What could UK government be doing to help disruptors like yourself? And would you be interested in interacting with the UK government as disruptors? Because technically, you're there to actually shake things up.
Automotive-wise, I think having a really close relationship with the government so they know what problems we're dealing with is really important. I don't think those conversations are at a high enough level just yet. And they're not happening early enough. So if you look at the charging infrastructure as one simple example that we all know very well, the reaction from big companies, but also governments, has been so slow that we're 5 years behind where we really should be for us all to be buying Model 3 tomorrow and knowing we can charge it confidently. So I think in my specific context, we've just missed the boat a little bit. We're a bit a bit far behind. But I think just those close relationships to keep us informed about what the government's trying to solve and what the government's to be informed by us, so we can say, this is our problem. We want to have 350 kilowatt-hour charges here, but this is stopping us, basically.
Governments, are there any comments on government?
I mean, one thing we've massively benefited from, so it's more of the same and more of it, is around funding, early funding, so making an environment so that people, so particularly angel investors in the UK, we've had a really great environment for angel investors to back crazy ideas, because often crazy ideas, until you've got some level of traction, no one's writing you a big check. No one's coming and saying, here, look, I'll risk 20 million pounds of capital. And so actually those angel investors, those smaller investors, an environment in which they get tax relief for backing big ideas, in which that's been a really important way of getting amazing ideas from just idea stage into actually being able to demonstrate something and to grow.
Another question.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Rob Atkinson. I work for General Electric Aviation, and I'm a disruptor. I'm a change person. I've just gone across to electric car about last year. So I'm forming a conversation there at the moment around aerial mobility and thinking what you're talking about, VR and space and moving people or packages, anything you're working on in that area with the aviation environment, those teams.
Aviation? Who's doing with aviation?
Yeah, we can touch on that. We're Arrival are trying to rethink mobility as a whole, and that covers mobility as a service. Primarily, as the rest of the industry is, we're trying to tackle ground-based mobility. But we certainly do have one eye on and some developments for how do you rethink mobility as a whole. And when you can rethink addresses, so much of the technology we try and develop is ground-based. There's a lot happening that actually would merge the two. Perhaps in a world in 10 years where you say, I've got a favourite restaurant, it's in Glasgow, can't take 2 days off. There will be a way to get there in half an hour. That will happen.
I just talked about it quickly a while ago, how the repairs in aviation can be done way faster, way quicker, and more efficient in VR, and can be copied all again and again. So this is helpful.
You got anything to add?
Well, I mean, for us, we basically figure at the point at which drones are delivering packages, it's no good if it drops it on the roof of your building where your postcode is. You probably need to say the square in your garden where you'd like it to deliver to you.
Okay, another question. We got any more hands? I can't see. Come on, the disruptive new world here. All kinds of things to ask. Yes.
I've got two questions, both for Claire. Have you thought about how you could do height as well as ground? And also, have you done anything with, I was thinking with languages, I know on the app you've got different languages, but if I'm talking to someone from a different country, that might be quite complicated.
Yeah, two good questions. So yeah, the first one, at the moment, I mean, behind the scenes, our 3 words are just GPS coordinates, and that's 2D. So that's latitude, longitude. In the future, we will be adding something for height when you're able to start using it inside, because at the moment, GPS doesn't work inside. We will add something so that, yeah, if I'm in a hotel room, I could probably get the pizza delivery robot to come to my door upstairs on floor 27. Future, yes. The question on languages is really interesting. So yeah, we've done every 3 meter square on land in the world has an address in 36 languages. So it might be apple, banana, spoon in English, and a totally different address in Arabic, and a totally different address in French. But you're right. So what we try, within the app itself, you can actually share in multiple languages. So I can choose to share an address both in English and in French. Maybe I'm having a wedding and I've got French and English guests coming. I'll send both. But the other idea is that as an English speaker, I can use English in every country in the world. So next year, when if I go to Tokyo for the Olympics, I don't have to use Japanese. And similarly, a Japanese tourist, if they came here to Fully Charged today, they could use Japanese 3-word addresses. So the idea is use it in the language that you speak.
That's one for Claire. With your What 3 Words, will you be integrating it into third-party GPS systems like TomTom and Garmin?
Yes, that's the plan. So we'd like to be in all of them. In the end. And at the moment, actually, we are working with TomTom. So TomTom we've been working with for a while around getting into things like their navigation systems in cars, etc. So that's some. We're in some others. There are lots of navigation apps you can get on your phone. The idea for us is our app should not exist, right? In a few years, the What 3 Words app that you download shouldn't exist because we'll be in Apple Maps and Google Maps and all the places you normally use addresses.
Right. Any more for any more? You're all very quiet. This is supposed to be a session about disruptive things. You want noisy people and lots of noise, and you're all being very well behaved. One last question. Yes, we've got one over here. Well done.
Hello, it's Claire again. Claire, how does it integrate into existing postcodes and things like that?
So if you're using an existing address system, it depends on what you're using it for. For example, postal services, we say it's an addition. So just add it as an extra line, so you might have all your normal address, and then you have a 3-word address on the end. If your use case is, I just want to get somewhere very specific, you may use it instead. So navigation in a car, I can just use 3 words, and I don't need the street address, and I don't need the postcode. Whereas maybe if you're registering for a bank account, you're probably going to use your traditional address, and then you might use your 3-word address for the added accuracy. So it depends on your use case. Either it's an addition for a postal address, or if you're just using it to navigate, you might just use that address to get exactly there.
For Somnium Space, are there any engineering companies that you're working with right now who have started using your virtual reality tech to train their technicians and their workforce for repair and maintenance type activity?
Basically, how our world works is you can buy virtual real estate, and then any company in the world can buy the piece of land and set up anything they want. So currently, we're not working with engineering companies that do it, but we have a library, a museum, an educational center. We have a Sony store there, Tesla store, and Pimax. But we'll be addressing all the companies that want basically to present themselves.
So we've come to the end of our half hour. A lot of things to think about. A lot of watch this space, watch these people. So Somnium don't have a stall. That's right, you do. Yep, you got a stand here? No? Have you got a stand?
No, but you can just look up the app.
Okay, so in the virtual world, you can find them all virtually. Please join me in thanking our 3 panelists, Vita, Patrick, and Claire, and thank you for coming to this session.
Anyway, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favourite podcast players, as it helps us get discovered and increases our reach to spread the sustainability message. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to our 2 YouTube channels, which includes Fully Charged Regen, which it has all these talks in video form. And it also has all the other podcasts we've done, but not in video form, just in a sort of with a picture with little lines going blah, 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 like that. You know the thing, sound graphic thing. I won't go on about it. I'm not going to try and describe it. It's an uppy and downy thing that follows the volume of the sound. I'm really losing it. To get some more information about this topic or anything Fully Charged, why not check out our amazing new glorious website? Now this is really amazing. You've got to go and have a look at this. www.fullycharged.show. Love that address. And why not have a gander at our fabulous A to Z guide? Ooh. We even have some newly made merchandise on there. But don't say anything to anyone else, just between us. There's some fantabulous merchandise that is now readily available for the consumer. That means human beings or people. And we're going to save the best to last. A huge thank you to all our wonderful, amazing Patreon supporters, because without your help, we simply wouldn't be able to keep you informed with all our content that we make. Or as I prefer to call it, episodes or shows. But let's call it content, because everybody knows what content is. You are amazing, all you Patreon people, and I'm on my knees, facing you, bowing down, and worshipping you as superior beings on the planet. Thank you so much. And that's it. So if you have been, as always, a thank you for listening.